People come onto your website, they go onto your product page, they look around for a little bit, and the next thing you know, they've just left your website without buying. Now, it's a problem that occurs quite a lot within e-commerce, so I'm gonna show you exactly how we fix it. So what I'm gonna be doing in this video is going over 2 of these product pages that I've just improved. And I'm gonna go over each of the points to show you why we did it, right? Why it works, and why you should apply it as well. Without doing too much talking, right? Let's get into the first one. So the first one, this is quite a big brand in the UK, right? And it's Benson's for beds. They have a lot of physical stores, etc. Initially, this is what it looked like, and with some minor changes, we've got it to look like this. And I'm gonna explain why we did the changes and why it would work better, right? So firstly, there's a lot of space here, right? And one thing is, you wanna have as much above the fold as possible, which is what you see here, right? So if you're on your phone, it's what you see without scrolling, basically, right? So that's why if there's any extra space that's being used for no reason, we got rid of the space, right? As you can see here. So we just moved everything up. The second thing we've done here, and obviously you can add to this even more if you have more unique selling points, so if you have anything else that you'd like your customers to know about. But the second point, we added a unique selling point, which is the 5-year guarantee, right on the product image, right? Now you can include this in the first image. Maybe you can include in the second image, right? You can have a lot of information, a lot of unique selling points about your product within the images. I'd highly recommend it, right? And the reason this works is because a lot of people aren't going to scroll past this point, right? And I'm talking 80, sometimes even 90% of people, this is all they're going to see, right? If you go check a scroll map on your website, right, you'll see that majority of people, like a high percentage of people, they don't scroll past this point. Only about 20% maybe would scroll below this point. And then below, you know, let's say that point, probably even less. No one's getting to the bottom of your page. So having unique selling points across your images or just somewhere here is going to be very beneficial, right? Number 3 is we have image thumbnails. Now, I would say they probably put better images here, especially these ones here, stuff like that, right? But that's not the point. The reason why I have this carousel thumbnail thing here is so people can actually just, obviously have these lines here, but people can actually see and tell that there's more images, and this arrow shows that there's more, right? And they'll be able to get like a preview of the image, because maybe they might be after something specific, and in the preview of the image they might see that and click it. Especially, as I said, if you have stuff like this across your images, right, then showing it in thumbnails can be very useful. Now you can make these a bit smaller, save even more space on the above the fold section, but I didn't really see much use, as below this point, you'll see why, but below this point, it's just selection. So I think it was the colors and the sizes, right? I'll get onto it in point 5, right? Number 4, something I don't actually see talked about enough, and there's quite a lot going on here, right? It might not look like it, but there is. Now, especially because this is a high, you know, somewhat of a high ticket product, right? It's what, £369, right? Which is probably around $400 something. They put 99 cents now. That's someone that's willing to spend over £300. They're not going to look at 99 and be like, oh, it's not going to have the same psychological effect compared to, let's say, if something was $10.99 or $9.99, something like that. It's not going to have the same psychological effect. It's too high of an amount, right? So you might as well just not overload your customers' cognitive load and just put £369, right? Now, having the decimal here, believe it or not, and having more numbers after, it unnecessarily will overload, you know, customers' cognitive load, making it much less likely that they buy, right? That's something that you guys should look into. Cognitive load when it comes to CRO is super important. Like, another thing you can potentially do, but would probably test this, is as they have the reviews here, do you really need the reviews here? Especially because there's only 8, right? But we'll probably, that's something to test, but yeah. So that's 1, right? Is the decimal point. Get rid of decimal points. You don't need that. Now, the next thing, now firstly, let's get past the obvious fact that this isn't 50% off, right? So that's completely incorrect. But even if it was, I think it's about 37% off, right? Instead of putting 37% off, we put £231 off, because as a number, it's a higher number, right? Then if it was like a low ticket product and maybe it was 37% off, but then if you put it into pounds, it'd be £20 off, you're better off going with 37%. But if the amount you're giving is higher than the percent, right, the amount you're giving off, then I'd suggest going with the amount. Now, this is obviously something you can test, but based off, you know, our data, that's what's tended to work in, you know, more cases than not. So yeah, so that's why we put £231 off, right? And the last thing, which is 5, is basically just giving, as I was saying, I think in point 3, it's just giving a snippet of, oh look, you can make a selection, right? So then people are much more likely to scroll and see what selections they can make, right? Which is why I said, as long as they can see this preview of colors, I didn't really need, you know, I didn't really see any point of saving more space by reducing the size of these thumbnail images, right? But you know, if you want to do that, you can. But I just don't think it would make much of a difference. As you can see, you can already see the preview that, oh, you can make selections, which will make you scroll to do the selections. So yeah, that was the full process behind that whole thing. But yeah, that's it for this one. So I'm gonna show you the next one. Now, the next one is on a brand called OcuShield. Again, this is quite a big brand, decently big brand. I think it's quite new as well. And yeah, so let's just get straight into it again. Now, there's actually quite a lot in point one. So I'm gonna go, I think it's about 3 points in point one actually. So first thing is there's just too many colors. You've got yellow, blue, white, black, blue, what's it called, black again, red, which that's not really an issue, right? Because that's for, like, you know, saving them out. So as you can see, I kept that. That's not the issue, but it's just too many yellow. I think that's unnecessary, and I think we can change that. So I'd suggest sticking to 2 to 3 colors, right? 3 colors max, don't go over 3 colors. But your add to cart button and stuff like this, I wouldn't say comes into that 2 to 3 colors, so don't worry about those, because you want your add to cart button to stick out anyway, right? So you can have that a different color, as long as it's not too crazy, right? Second thing is we made it a lot thinner. So as you can see, this one's nearly covering what, like nearly 20%, maybe above the fold section, unnecessarily, right? So we made it a lot thinner. And the third thing is, as you can see, we put a free shipping over 45. This can help more people convert, as they know there's free shipping, right, if they just spend 45. And it also increases the average order value, because people are much more likely to spend above 45. So putting that in the announcement banner is going to be quite useful, as everyone on the product page is now going to see that, right? There's no chance they're missing it. Now 2 is getting rid of the breadcrumbs, right? Now the reason I did that here, but they might be wondering why I didn't do it here, is because look at all the steps here, right? So if you're on this bed, right, you can go back to this, and then the home, right? That's like 3, 4, maybe even 5 pages, I'm pretty sure. But here, it's only the product and then back to home, which they can just press back, right? Or they can press this to go back home. It's only a 1-page difference. So it's just taking up room for no reason. Now, if they go to a page from a page, then you might want to have the breadcrumbs come up only then, because then it's, you know, 3 pages. And the reason breadcrumbs is good if it's multiple pages, right? You know, if you have to go from page to page to page, is because if they're not happy here, they can just go back to the page that they want to. It might be this one, it might be this one, right? Not just the home page. Here though, the only thing they can go to is the home page. So you might as well just get rid of the breadcrumbs, right? Now, I didn't really point this out, but as you can see, the price in here, I kept the decimal point, because it's a cheaper product than the mattresses or the bed, right? So there might be an advantage of actually having 50, right, or a decimal point and then a price after a decimal point. Obviously that's something that we test, right? But I'm just saying, based off our previous, you know, experience, there can be benefits of it, especially when it's a lower ticket product. Now number 3, for some reason this got messed up. It doesn't look exactly like this on their website, so now I'm gonna give them that. It has like a tick here which looks a bit more aesthetic, but still it's a bunch of text that no one's gonna read. You know, especially with a TikTok brain, right? A lot of people just skim read. So what you want to do is you want to have just icons with shorter text, right? Just getting the point across to people, even if they're just skim reading, right? This is going to be a lot more effective, and I don't think there's a point of testing this. No one's really going to read this. Stuff like this, you might have it lower down. That's perfectly fine. The people that, you know, scroll past the fold and they're actually looking for other information, they might read the bullet points. So that's not an issue, but having it take up so much space, you know, above the fold, not the smartest idea. Now the funny thing is, if you were to actually go onto a website, because of the announcement banner, right, this is kind of like a sidetrack here, but because of the announcement banner, because of the breadcrumbs, etc., you can't even see the bullet points. So as you can see, they look a bit more aesthetic here, as I said, but you can't even see it's not above the fold because of how thick this is and because of the breadcrumbs. So yeah, bear that in mind. This is actually better technically than what you're seeing there. So back to the point, right? Having just icons and shorter text to get the point across for people that are above the fold is going to be a lot more effective. And as you can see, I didn't include anything in their images because they already have some pointers in their images, which is great. Number 4 is because you moved everything up, right? You can include, you know, you got rid of the bullet points. There's more space. You can actually add. We added their review carousel, their testimonial carousel, all the way up above the fold. So people that just land onto this product page, they can actually see reviews, and it's going to start swiping across, right? So not only are they seeing, you know, that's rated 4.5 stars, you know, from 1,500 people, they're now seeing an actual review from those people, and reviews I should say, because this isn't normally a carousel, so it just swipes along, right? And that's obviously going to help in terms of building trust with the customer. And the last point, which is 5, is just having a sticky add to cart button where they can also make their selection. Now you can't really see it here, but if I was to go here, as you can see, you'd have to scroll all the way down just to see the add to cart button, and then obviously make your selection, whatever. Now here, we just included it sticky. Now you can actually, even if they're looking through the website, let's say they're all the way down here, they're looking at some of the information, etc. This is still going to be there, right? It's a sticky add to cart button. So they can make their selection for which device it is or which variant, right? In your case maybe, and they can add this to cart. And on top of that, below that, they can see the shipping times, right? So what this means is, at any point, wherever they are on the product page, they have a ton of information to actually make the buying decision, right? To add it to cart and then continue from there. They can choose their variant, they can add to cart, they can see the price, right? And they can see the shipping times. Now again, this is just reducing friction, and it just increases the convenience for the customer, right? Making it much more likely that they buy, right? All 5 of these points for both. But that's it. It's not too long of a video. I just wanted to go over how we do CRO for product pages. And if you want to see 7 years of no BS advice for e-com brand owners, make sure to click the video there. But that's it for this video, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time.